Welcome to Crypto Rosetta. My name is Savage. Today we're going to be having a look at Render. Let's get into the charts and see what's going on. Okay, so before we jump into the lower degree counts, what I want to talk about here is the two ways that I'm currently looking at this. So if we're looking at this in the bullish case, what we would be saying is that we're looking for 5-wave structure to the upside. And the way I'm currently looking at this is that we could potentially have a series of 1s and 2s here. Now, the reason I'm starting not to like this count as much anymore is because this wave 2 here is actually drawing out quite long in time. So it's starting to become less likely that this is the case. Though, however, as long as we stay above this 89 cents, I am going to still be looking out for the potential of seeing something like the blue wave count looking to play out. Now, we have already come down here to our typical blue target box, and we have hit this 0.702, which is sitting at this 129.4. Other targets that I'd be keeping an eye on lower down here would be this 117 and this $1.08 as a potential target. Now, this would also bring us into this blue target box area here. And within this zone, what we do have is a couple of zones that I'm keeping an eye on. And there's a couple of areas to the left-hand side here, which I think are quite interesting. We have this high here towards this $1.17. We also have the potential to swing fail this low at this 108. So these are aligning with these lower support targets here. If we do look to push down deeper, we do also have some weekly and daily naked points of control more towards that dollar area, which would also be looking to bring us back into some of these highs. So we'll be keeping an eye on this zone if we do look at this as slightly extending out here. Now, invalidation, like I said, of this idea would be this 89 cents. Now, the other way we could argue that this is still looking for a push to the upside here is if we look at the first move here as an expanding diagonal, saying this is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now, if this is the case, effectively what we'd be looking for here would be that either this is a bigger A, a B, and a C, and we're looking for a move back down here towards the zone of this 85 cents to the 60 cents most typically, though I will also be keeping an eye on this 1-to-1 area, which is sitting at this $1.05, because this is also aligning with this target box. Now, the thing is, internally here, it is difficult to count this as a 5-wave move currently, so the likelihood would be is that if this is going to become a bigger 5-wave structure, we're looking for this lower target box area over here between this 85 cents and the 60 cents level. So I will be keeping an eye on that if we do continue to break to the downside. Now, this would still be a viable count, and we would still be potentially looking for upside as long as we hold this low. So if we are looking at this is our A wave here, and what we're saying is we're looking for a B wave down, and then we're looking for the C wave up. Now, it is possible that this B wave could be completed over here, and we could already be started this C wave, particularly if we start to form this as 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 to the upside, and we look to push up towards this zone here of this $6.59. This could align with having a direct push to the upside from where we currently are. However, if we are looking at this just as a bigger corrective structure here, what we could have is either this is 3, 3, 5, and we get a flat correction, or this could be a 3-wave move and we just have this as a bigger W, X, and a Y. So going to be very interested to see how we react here. We also do have this channel which is sitting a little bit lower down here towards this $1.18. So I'm going to be watching this zone for potential interaction if we do look to break this low one more time, which is looking likely within the count. So we're going to go over that in a second. Now, the other thing we need to just be careful with here on the more bearish idea is that we're looking for the possibility of something like this. Now, instead of this being a impulsive move looking to form, if we start to break to the downside and we start to get a bigger 5-wave move, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, this could actually align with the idea of the C wave coming into play, in which case we would be looking for a minimum push to the downside of this 35 cents. And at the moment, what we'd then be saying is that instead of looking at this as that idea of a impulses where we have 1, 2, 1, 2, and then we're looking to push to the upside, or alternatively 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 as a diagonal, and we're still looking for that support, we just say this is W, this is X, A, B, C, this is Y. That's a completed correction, and we're looking for downside to come in. So we need to just be on the lookout here. If this does start to extend to the downside, it is very possible that the C wave could be in play, but once again, the internal structure here is not great at the moment for counting a 5-wave move, but this can always change. So we're going to discuss how that can actually happen here. So we're going to talk about this idea of this just being a corrective move first, in which case what we are saying is that we could just have this as a bigger W and X, and what we're looking for is this is A, this is B, and we're looking for a 5-wave structure now in this C wave over here. Now, if we are looking at the idea of this as a 5-wave move to the downside here, what we don't want to see is we don't want to see price cross this $1.02. As soon as we start to cross this 1618 here, it becomes more likely then that nestled in here, what we have is this is 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Then we'd get another fourth and a fifth, and then that would start to actually hit our bigger impulsive target here. So we need to just be very careful of that idea. If we move down towards this $1.02, this could align with this move actually extending to the downside here, though it is possible to actually hit this 1618 level and still look at this as just a three-wave structure. But once we start to hit that 1618, the probability is that we're going to get a fourth and a fifth wave to the downside, provided that it is an impulse. So we need to be careful of this idea. So more locally here, what I'm looking for, if we come down into the 1 hour chart here, is I'm treating this as an additional 1, 2 here, and then what we're saying here is that this is 1, 2, 3, 4, and an extension within the fifth. Now it is also possible that we could still be within this third wave, so we always need to be aware that, you know, until we actually start breaking back above these highs, so this 176, we need to be very careful here, because there's potential for extension, because this third wave could even just have formed 1, 2, we form another 1 and a 2 here, and then we start to break down in a bigger way. So this is why it's going to be key to start breaking back above some of these highs if we are looking at this as a completed move here. At the moment we just have 3 waves down. If this is a fourth wave, we would expect a rejection here between this 148 to this 135, and what we'd be looking for is a 3-wave move to the upside. Now it is possible that this could be forming something like a triangle in here, where this is A, B, C, D, and E, and then we start to break down for this fifth wave. Currently our fifth wave target is towards this $1.20 to this $1.13 area, so going to be watching that zone. If we do see 5-wave structure starting to develop to the downside, this could actually tie into this idea of this fifth wave. Now the thing is that if we have a look here, and this is 1 and a 2, this wave 4 would still be very short in time, so it is always possible here we could start to see something like this, where this is a wave up, and then we start to see something like this more complex developing, where we get something like a flat correction here, and then we push back up again in another 3-wave move, looking at this as just a bigger W, X, and a Y, still looking to stay below this invalidation point of this $1.53 before this continuation down. The alternative, like I said, would be that within here we have another 1, 2, 1, 2, and then this could look to break down deeper. So at the moment what I'm looking for is to see whether this invalidation area holds. If this does hold and we remain in this yellow fourth wave box, it becomes very likely that we're going to see another push to the downside. This would align very nicely with coming back into the channel, as well as looking to retest this area here of our green box, which, as we talked about earlier, aligns with some highs on the left hand side here. So we're going to be keeping an eye on this zone if we do see price looking to push down into that level. Now the key thing is here that if we start to form this 5-wave move to the downside here, if we start to actually break past this 1618 level here, which is sitting at this zone here of this $1.18, we need to be very careful, because this AB over here could actually then turn into a bigger 5-wave structure. So if we do get this move as 1, 2, 3, we get 4, and then we get a fifth wave which pushes down towards this $1.18, need to be very careful here, because this could then tie in with that idea that this whole move becomes a wave 3, we get 4, and then we push down towards that 1618 level like we talked about. And then what we'd have to be on the lookout for is that this could in itself also just be a 1, 2 here, and then we could look at this as 3, 4, and 5. At the moment I'm looking at this as a bigger corrective move as 3, 3, and 3, so WXY here for an X wave. But it is also possible that within the structure here, what we could have is that this is our wave X, and we could have this as 1, 2. So we need to be very careful, because if that's the case, we have 1, 2, we have 1, 2, we have another 1, 2 here. So this would be actually be indicating that there's extension going on here, and we're going to see a deeper move. Now the way that I'm currently looking at this is, you know, if we start to break down in a bigger way here, where we start to get, like I said, we hit that 1.618 target over here with this wave 3, we get another fourth, and we get a fifth wave down. We need to be careful that within the other count here, that this purple wave 3 is not in play, and this would align with actually having this as 1, 2 here, looking for this as a 3, 4, and a 5. Now the target area would be very interested in with this count would be this blue 1.618 lower down here towards this $1.01. So if we start to push down towards these lower zones here, need to be very careful that this isn't in fact 1, 2, looking for this as a 3, getting an additional fourth and a fifth, which could look to push us down towards this 93.7 to this 82.8. Now, just because we have a 5-wave move off this high doesn't necessarily mean this is a bearish thing. If we do get this as 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, this would actually fit quite nicely into that idea that if we're looking at the diagonal, that we could see this move looking to push down into these lower areas here, like we said. So, you know, if we do see the C wave looking to play out, this could potentially look to push us down towards this 85.7 to this 60 cents area, if we are looking at this as a flat correction. So that's what I'm going to be monitoring over the next couple of days and seeing how we react. If we continue to hold this fourth wave target area, the potential is that we're going to see continuation to the downside. If, however, we start to break back above these highs, we need to be very careful that the more bullish case is not actually taken place here already, where we could have this as either another A, B, and then we're looking for a C wave to the upside, or this becomes 1, 2, and then we're looking for that most bullish case here, where we could still see the potential to see a move up towards this 1618 here, which would be this $8.65, and that 1-to-1, if it's going to be an ABC pattern, would be here towards this $4.13. So these would be looking to actually bring us back above these highs and potentially look to grab some more of the liquidity that's potentially up here. And then from that point, what we'd have to see is that if it's just corrective, this could still mean that we look to break down at a later point here. So the ideal thing we want to see here, if we're actually building this impulsive structure, is a move past this $8.65 from where we currently are. If we move down lower, this target also moves lower, which also then doesn't mean there's as much space for this fourth wave to actually develop when we get a third, a fourth, and a fifth, because the fourth wave isn't allowed to cross this wave 1. So we need to just bear that in mind moving forward from here. Having a look at the daily CPR lines here, what we can see is that we've had some pretty unchanged CPR lines here. So this can indicate two things. This can indicate that we're either going to continue to range within this area, or potentially we could be looking for a breakout or a breakdown. Now, we don't have a direction indicated by the CPR here, so what we are looking for is the previous one is down. There is possibility here that we could continue this to the downside for as long as we remain below these CPR lines. This would then mean that we could see a potential move down back towards this 139. Other targets for today to the downside be 136. We have 132 and this 129 zone. Now, this would align with that idea if this is going to extend out here and become a bigger ABC pattern, looking for this as a fourth wave. Now, if we are looking at this idea and we're going to break to the upside here, we need to get back above these central lines, which is this 143 to this 142. If we do manage to get back above that, targets for today to the upside is 146. We have 149, we have 152, and 156 as potential upside targets. Now, the problem is if we start to push up here to these higher levels, this would actually invalidate our count of that additional fourth and a fifth wave from over here, which would mean that we potentially have something else going on here. But really, until we break these highs, like I said, we need to be very careful that there isn't 1, 2 here, 1, 2, and then we still look to break down after that. So it's going to be very key breaking above these highs if we want to look for some sustained bullish moves here. Now, if we have a look at the weekly CPR lines here, we can see that these were very tightly spread here, indicating volatility, and we did see this. We came underneath them, moved up into them, moved down towards our S1 line. We lost this as support, and there was a big sell-off down through our S3 line. Now, we have moved back up here, and we are currently back above this S3 line. This can potentially be support for this week at this 134, and this could also still be resistance here at this 144 level. So if we fail to move back above this, we could potentially be looking for a retest of this lower zone. If we do find support here, we could either look to come back up, retest this and fail, or alternatively, we could look to come back up here and then look to move through this level. Other resistance for this week could be this 154 level. If we do, however, this week look to push back up above these CPR lines, top targets to the upside would be this 174. We have this 184 and this area here of this 195 as potential targets to the upside. Moving over and having a look at the monthly pivots here, what we can see is that we are currently underneath our central line. So these are going to be potential resistance if we do look to move back up here. We also do have potential resistance here at this 156 level, which will be coming back into these lows. So going to keep an eye on that. If we do see this idea that this is just A, B, C, and we still have this as 1, 2, 1, 2, and then we're looking to break down bigger way. If we do, however, see price looking to push back up here, look to flip this into support this month, we still have potential to come back up and retest this 182 to this 197 zone. Now, if we do look to continue to break down, targets would be this 103, which is aligning with this target box lower down here, which would only really come into play if this move is looking to extend out here. So I'm going to keep an eye on that level if we do move down there. Now, if we do continue to push up here, we regain these CPR lines. Targets for this month to the upside would be 209, 242, and this 263. Now, price can always look to move through these levels, so we need to be aware of that. These are just potential pivot points if we do see price interact with it. Okay, so I'm going to leave the video there. I hope you found it useful. If you did, please smash the like button, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, turn on those bell notifications so you never miss a video. Leave us some feedback down below, and also in the description you will find a link to the Discord. Come check it out, it's free to join. Everyone have a great day. We'll see you in the next one. Take care.